When I wake up in the morning and checked my emails, and I got first email, your bank account is terminated. I was deeply shocked. Then I checked my personal account and my personal email, and it was also the same message. You lose your freedom if you don't have freedom for communication, freedom for money. You just cannot operate. You're almost in an invisible prison. So this is one of the most severe examples I saw, and till nowadays, a majority of people, unfortunately, still in prison. We're doing everything possible to release them. You cannot do anything. You cannot withdraw your money from a bank account. The only way how you actually can survive, it's if you're able to travel and you have your Bitcoin.
Today we are honored to welcome Lyudmyla Kozlovska to the Bitcoin Bootcamp. Lyudmyla is a human rights defender from Ukraine and the president of the Open Dialogue Foundation, an international organization dedicated to defending human rights, democracy, and the rule of law across Europe and the post-Soviet area. She has been active in civic movements since her youth, taking part in the Orange Revolution in Ukraine in 2004 and organizing numerous human rights and election observation missions in countries such as Ukraine, Georgia, Moldova, Russia, and Kazakhstan. Under her leadership, the Open Dialogue Foundation has coordinated campaigns to support political prisoners, advocate reforms to international legal systems, and challenge abuses of power of authoritarian regimes. Lyudmyla has also raised concerns about the misuse of financial surveillance and regulatory systems to target civil society and limit freedom. And she has spoken about how alternative financial technologies like Bitcoin can help counter financial exclusion and repression. We are excited to dive into her experience, her vision for financial freedom, and what role Bitcoin can play in defending human rights around the world.
Yeah, welcome, Lyudmyla. You're actually the president of the Open Dialogue Foundation as an organization defending human rights and democracy and supporting people under political pressure. So when did you first realize that financial systems themselves can become tools of control?
Hello, everyone. I'm really happy to be on your podcast, and I hope many people join us for this discussion. Leave your comments so we also know what you think about our discussion. First time when I knew that financial system can be weaponized, I think I found out it in 2017. In October, when Kazakhstan first started to prosecute massively civil society under pretext of fighting with extremism and terrorism. And then suddenly of accounts of all opposition movements or activists, lawyers, they were frozen. But I would never ever thought that 1 year after, I will experience it in Brussels, when again, several regimes would cooperate and they will weaponize these national security, anti-money laundering, counterterrorism regulations to reach out to me in Brussels, to freeze my accounts, to stop my human rights work. And this is what effectively happened.
Hey everyone. Real quick before we dive deeper. If you are getting value from this conversation about Bitcoin, sound money, and true personal sovereignty, and you want more episodes that cut through the noise on these life-changing topics, hit that subscribe button right now, if you haven't already. Subscribing literally takes 2 seconds, costs nothing, and it sends a powerful signal to YouTube to show our content to more people who care about financial freedom and resisting centralized control. You're helping spread the message of strong money to thousands more who need to hear it, and in return you'll never miss an episode that could help you secure your future. If this episode is hitting home for you so far, drop a like as well. It really helps the algorithm push this to more freedom-minded people just like you. Thank you so much for being part of this community. Let's get back to the episode.
And I have to say that when it happened, I was already under protection of, for example, Belgian government, of France, Germany, also Switzerland, UK, recognized me as a national interest country. A national interest in their countries, and they recognize also transnational repression against me and my organization. So it was a moment when you think that you have the biggest possible protection. President of France, Germany speaks on your defense, parliaments. They all doing all possible to protect you physically. And one thing they were not able to fix, it's actually how to protect my financial data. And this caused severe consequences, not only being for me personally, for my family, de-risked when my bank accounts were terminated in Brussels, but also everybody who was associated with us, who was receiving our donations, who was donating us, who was our customers, partners, all of them were affected because financial data were weaponized. And this is one of the hardest lessons, which affected quite significantly my life and people who were associated with me at the time. And this lesson why I'm so dedicated to defense privacy, privacy of communication, privacy of payment, privacy of behavioral data. And we will speak about it in a moment. But what tools you use to pay for, to communicate, to use internet is one of the most important thing you have to think about nowadays.
I see, very interesting. Was there a specific moment in your journey when you understood that financial access isn't just technical, but deeply connected to freedom and independence?
When I wake up in the morning and check my emails, and I got first email, your bank account is terminated. I was deeply shocked. Then I checked my personal account and my personal email, and it was also the same message. And it's happened with my family members, my team members, my lawyers, accountant. Everybody got the same message. And we were very comfortable. Like, I think majority of people who listen to this podcast, how much cash you have in your pocket? Pretty much nothing, almost nowadays, because it's uncomfortable, right? Freedom is always uncomfortable to fight for. That's a hard lesson we have to remind ourselves every time. So this is the morning in 2018 when I wake up and I found out that my account is closed. My organization, my company, people associated with me also affected with this termination of bank account services in Belgium and also in Poland. It's afterwards messages that Kazakh activists who were associated with us were arrested. Our donors were having issues. So it was like nightmare, total nightmare. And at the end of the day, I had only €5 in my cash. So it was every possible harsh lesson for me at that time not to care much about my privacy of payment. And this is a moment, of course, you start to ask questions. Okay, what alternative I have? Where I go? And if you try to go to open bank account in like just another one, you will end up saying the same, that you cannot have this account or it will be closed just in 1 month. So the danger of weaponization of these tools, that you don't have any remedy, any protection. We try to go to the court to defend our rights. We sued the bank, and the judge, after consideration of the case, said you have to try better because it's a market and opportunity. You just need to go to other country to open the bank account. But it's like ridiculous because you cannot. You have to be a resident. You have to reestablish everything. It means that you have to have money. And at the end of the day, it's very often that judicial system not really reading what obligations for banks and clients right now, because they're too abstract, too broad, and not concrete. And with our advocacy support, we were able to have a special law in Belgium. We spoke with members of the parliament and government in Belgium, and they issued the right for banking. But the problem is that Belgian banks, they operate globally, of course, and we want to have donations globally. It means that ban can lose his license if he just give us account in Belgium, and we will get, for example, transactions and donations from outside of Belgium. And it's mean that they cannot bank us. And this is the reason why we still don't have bank account in Belgium since 2018. It's quite a lot. And the way also how we survive all of this nightmare is just because we were able to discover Bitcoin. And this is how we were not only were able to survive, we were able to hold accountable those perpetrators who violated this law. We speak up about it all the time. And we continue to support those who need our help in different countries, Central Asian countries. We fundraised and support Ukraine since first day of Russian full aggression to Ukraine. Till nowadays, we provide all needed equipment for heating in Kyiv and many other cities. So this is something what shows you have to know about alternative. You have to care about your privacy, because if you don't care, who will care? Who will provide you with these tools? This is something what I would say everybody have to learn, because we live in such unstable time, then it could be extremely expensive mistake, worth life and health and your peace if you don't know about privacy of payment communication and you don't protect your behavioral data, which is your travel, communication, and financial data, first of all.
Speaking about financial control in your personal experience, through your work, you have supported activists, political prisoners, and vulnerable individuals across different countries. What patterns did you start to see in how financial systems affect people in difficult or politically sensitive situations?
One of the, I would say, difficult experience was when a family of political prisoners, they fundraised with, such a huge risk for themselves money through social media. And then Kazakhstan, for example, were able to freeze this money within just 5 minutes. And it was shocking experience, because people were donating like some $1, because it's quite a lot of money if you have 50, 100 people who is supporting you. It's enough to pay for lawyers. It's enough to buy food to support families of political prisoners in this country. But it's a tough experience when financial tools, when financial intelligence provided by Western countries, first of all, US, European Union member states, used by authoritarian regimes to prosecute people domestically and to shut down them, to silence them, and to deprive them any kind of support. Another very interesting example, again, in Central Asian countries, when one of the candidates wanted to be elected in the parliament, and he did a public campaign to get donations, basically to pay to the state to be registered for him and his colleagues from the party of oppositional movement. And again, all of these donations were recognized as a financing extremist, because the government announced this opposition movement as an extremist movement. And then everybody who was donating money and everybody who was receiving money were imprisoned and tortured. Another very severe example was its organization of humanitarian aid in Uzbekistan. It's also 2022, one of the most difficult time in the world, where was from one side Russian aggression to Ukraine, different kind of crises, but we already learned a little bit how we can use cryptocurrencies, and we started to teach other activists how to use it. But we at the time didn't understand much difference between self-hosted wallets, privacy tools. We just knew that Bitcoin, for example, if you use it for fundraising, it's unstoppable. And it was, again, a very harsh lesson for us to know that you cannot do fundraising through centralized exchanges, basically crypto asset services providers. Because everybody who was donating or doing crowdfunding through exchanges in Uzbekistan at the time, they were not only arrested, they were tortured, they disappeared. It was a very harsh lesson to understand how something unstoppable, if it's absolutely transparent and you don't have privacy, can be weaponized. And this is something what I think important to learn while you're using new technologies like Bitcoin. You need to understand what pros and cons and how to use this properly. It's the same like you doing online activities, you're using social media, you should know what data flowing with your post, with your likes, with using your phone with this application. It's such a must in a days when we going into direction with digital ID, where every single application, every single move on your phone is going to be linked to a digital ID. And all your behavioral data is one of the most wanted thing. It's just like gold, it's oil, whatever you want, the most expensive nowadays will be linked to your identity. So in this situation, privacy tools for payment, for communications, it's one of the most important because you don't have freedoms. You don't have freedoms. And I saw it so many times in many different countries that you lose your freedom if you don't have freedom for communication, freedom for money. You just cannot operate. You're almost in an invisible prison. So this is one of the most severe examples I saw. And till nowadays, a majority of people, unfortunately, still in prison. We're doing everything possible to release them. But it's not easy in this unstable time.
What is actually the point which surprised you most when it comes to financial access and restriction of financial access? Is there anything where you say, okay, this is something which really surprised me, even in democratic systems and countries?
Oh yes, because as an organization, we were always advising and we're advocating for accountability mechanisms. And one of the main accountability mechanisms is personal sanctions, where perpetrators can be punished when they commit any kind of crimes or give orders to commit crimes to other perpetrators, right? So we were thinking that Western countries thought through all of this process and they really understand when to share and share data. It was a shocking experience for me when I found out how it's easy for authoritarian states, which is majority in this world, to get access to anybody in Western countries through emergency tools and this established interstate mechanism, state-to-state mechanism to combat money laundering, terrorist financing, cybersecurity crime, or, for example, protect children from harassment online. This is exactly one of the most abused tools by authoritarian regimes to do free surveillance on Western countries against their citizens, residents, and entities. And it's something what I learned on my experience. Unfortunately, it's not like I really want to have all of this experience, but because every time I overcame different kind of transnational repression from different states, as of now, for the last 16 years of my human rights work, it's 9 states who tried different way to silence me. And every time I was able to overcome with strategy I usually apply to release political prisoners or protect people from political prosecution, both inside of this authoritarian state, but also when, for example, the regimes prosecute people on international area through Interpol mechanism, police instruments, or judicial instruments. So the same tools were applied against me. And dozens of secret agents of Kazakhstan, they wanted to obtain my behavioral data from Belgium, basically all member states through Belgium of the European Union, and also from the US. Why? Because I was recording testimonies of victims of torture and mass shootings in Kazakhstan, which was committed together with Russians and other troops invited by President Tokayev at the time in January 2022. And victims of torture and mass shooting, they were naming perpetrators. So what these perpetrators created with support of Kazakh government, they said that I committed cybersecurity harassment against their minor children, that their children, less than 1 year old, were crying watching these victims' testimonies, where they named the names of perpetrators. And of course, this is immediately provoke emergency procedures, and all requests from so-called victims, from these perpetrators and secret agents of Kazakhstan, who were pretended to be fathers of minor children, these people, they actually have right to request all my behavioral data. What does it mean? It's your data, how and where you travel, how you communicate, with whom you communicate. It's basically your data about entire community around you. And of course, it's your financial data. and they requested it from not only Belgium, but also all member states of European Union. Wherever I'm traveling a lot, and also from the US, from Washington, DC, and from Miami. And in these situations, it's very important to say who is affected. Affected, for example, hotels, because you have to show your ID there, and it's all linked to this system, cybersecurity system, preventing money laundering, preventing cybersecurity crimes, counterterrorism networks, and so on. Second, it's cloud provider or any kind of internet provider, or any kind of actually provider on your phone. This is extremely phone device, computer, and it's airports, it's train if you use train, car if you rent car. It's basically everything around you. It's so scary. And because of this long story of transnational repression on territory of Belgium from different states against me, police didn't implement this emergency procedure. They actually prefer to send it to an investigative judge. So it's more exception than normal practice. If anybody else would be on my place, they would just share this data. Imagine how powerful it is. You don't need even accuse somebody. You just need to say, like these secret agents of Kazakhstan, that, oh, she committed cybersecurity crime. So they didn't have any evidences, nothing. There was no court whatsoever in Kazakhstan. They don't need to do it. They just need to use this international interstate mechanism to open a criminal case against you on Western territory, and then collect all of this data with actually abusing entire state, like in my case was Belgium state, using the judicial system to extract information about you from all over the world. So in my case, I was protected again. Investigative judge gave me an argument, everything in written, exactly describing what was behind the attempt of these dozens of secret agents of Kazakhstan, how they wanted to obtain my behavioral data from the all member states of the EU and US. And this is what gives me 100% of argument whenever I speak with policymakers, journalists, or anybody who will say, oh, you speak about cybersecurity law, so you speak about anti-money laundering regulation. How dare you to say that this is not working properly? But actually, I'm experiencing myself, and I defend other victims who are the same like myself, in position where these important tools created for our protection actually serving as a window, open window for all regimes. So for me, it was absolutely shocking experience to learn in a such severe way how tools created, and we see every time it's tighter and tighter. Every time we see, just a few days ago, we saw that there was a special, again, campaign to protect Western countries like European Union from terrorism. But it's more and more this counterterrorism regulation, which unfortunately provoke even more cooperation with authoritarian states. And it's means more data to be shared. And it's means more vulnerability for all of us. And this is something what scares me. And that's why we do a lot of advocacy campaign meetings. Just for the last few months, I did over 300 meetings, talking with parliamentarians, policymakers, with advisors, everybody I can only talk to explain how severe damages for Western civilization to apply this trust-based approach when you just blindly trust to authoritarian states sharing data of your citizens and entities. And what we propose instead? We propose proof of work regime. If you, of course, want to share data, you have to have proof that this person really committed crime. And you need to be sure that the country which requests this data, this is country with rule of law. I know it's more costly, but sharing data and putting your citizens and entities and residents under risk, it's way more expensive, especially nowadays. It's unforgivable when we live in such unstable time when a majority of the countries in the world just want to crush our civilization. This is where we are. And we will just acknowledge with this regime proof of work of this green list of countries and red list of countries who really comply with law. And we will be surprised that there is just a few countries who can potentially apply with this and comply with this law, because majority is still violating it severely and putting at risk all of us. It's not the way how it should be. And more people know about it. I think more questions should be raised. And this is only the way how we can stop all of this craziness with gathering our data, like digital ID data, and sharing it with everybody just in one click. It's super dangerous.
Yeah, I think this is for most people watching this episode quite shocking and even unbelievable, your story. So I'm happy to dive deeper. Many people watching assume their financial access is guaranteed, but why is it important for people to understand that financial systems ultimately operate on trust and permission?
I think it's important, first of all, when you live in nowadays and you just see what's happening right now in Middle East. You go for vacation, and then you're in a situation, not just like many Ukrainians, when banks under bomb and everything is paralyzed, and you need to have alternative how you're gonna exit this situation in a safe way. If you don't have alternative, you cannot go with cash. You cannot do anything. You cannot withdraw your money from a bank account. The only way how you actually can survive, and it's if you're able to travel and you have your Bitcoin. It's also challenging. It's not going to be easy, but you have at least a possibility to do transactions without internet right now, which is way more easier to do than it was during 2022 when Russia invaded Ukraine, for example. It's way more easy to keep in yourself just a code, and then whenever you access, you're able to actually get this money. So for many reasons, if you don't expose yourself that you use the Bitcoin as your prime tool, because it's also dangerous. We see in many cases what's happening in France, Italy, where crypto assets holders kidnapped, and it's so cheap to do. So you need to really nowadays think twice about your privacy, your rights, because it could cost you life. And I think many people who went to vacation in Dubai or any kind of Middle East country, they think, oh, it's never going to touch me. It's not about me. Just somewhere, it's so far away. Ukraine, it's so far away. Somewhere in Asian countries happening something. It will never happen to me. Just I'm going for vacation. What's the problem? I have my bank and I have a card, right? What's the problem for me to pay? It will be a problem in a moment because we live in a time where everything is fragile, and you have to have a tool which gives you options, which gives you security, and you have to learn everything about it so you really enjoy this security, because if you don't, nothing will protect you.
Everybody of us is having any kind of experience regarding money and also tumbled maybe over Bitcoin, but how did actually your experience change your personal perspective on money and also independence plus freedom?
My personal experience, as I said, €5 instead of having access to my bank account. It's pretty much changing your perception immediately. This is first thing. It's my personal experience. Second, again, very dramatic. I knew that my friends, my family members in Ukraine, and they are under bomb of Russians, and I need to get them protective equipment. And banks, when I try to do bank transfers, say, we cannot deliver, maybe in 3 weeks. I don't have these 3 weeks. My family can die in 3 weeks. My friends can be just already not existent anymore. They can be killed. And speed of Bitcoin at the time, the luck, what we had at Ukraine was third country in the world of mass adoption for cryptocurrencies, gave this an opportunity that we were able to fundraise immediately and deliver humanitarian aid to Ukraine on the second day of Russian full invasion to Ukraine. And while all world was thinking how we're going to transfer money, or should we at all transfer money, it's already 4 years anniversary. Still a lot of volunteers and those who need to get support get donations in Bitcoin. Of course, it's not that needed to do just through Bitcoin anymore, because system is more or less stabilized no matter what's happening in Ukraine right now. But at that very moment, it's February till May 2022, it was the only way, and this is also why Ukrainian government were using Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies to fundraise and to pay for protective equipment, for medical equipment, because you cannot rely on traditional financial institutions at that time. They were not able to exist and operate in Ukraine at this time of emergency. And this is, again, harsh lesson. But I think You don't need to experience it by yourself. It's just enough to learn on pain and mistakes of others, unless you have to feel this pain and then you will do your lesson.
I mean, you mentioned it already a little bit that Bitcoin actually became part of your life and your organization, including your humanitarian aid. But what made Bitcoin for you actually different from financial tools?
Because it's unstoppable. It's decentralized and unstoppable. This is it has a lot of weakness, right? Sometimes it's too costly for transactions. Sometimes you need to do it a very difficult way. But this is the only options what left. At least you have this difficulty and you can, solve your problems. With banks is also difficult, but you cannot solve it. So you don't have much options. And I'm very grateful for somebody who created Bitcoin. I don't know who is Satoshi, but I think he's just angel who understands quite a lot about this world. And it's really important to have as much as possible this kind of tech developers, angels. And this is why I also dedicate a lot of my time. And it's one of the main category of people whom I defend, no matter if they understand why I speak with regulators, or they even sometimes say, "Boo! How dare you to speak to regulators? They just our enemies." No, I don't think they are enemies. I think some of them just have no clue, and they also many times could be in the position right now. Other citizens like us who need this kind of support, they just don't understand it. Some of them really believe in what they do, and then when they see consequences, it's like shocking experience for them. So for this reason, I don't think that everybody's just bad actors. There are definitely bad actors who do it with premeditation, and this is where we build our advocacy to educate as much as possible people and to protect those who develop important tools. That's why we want to use only neutral language to Bitcoin transactions, any kind of privacy communication, encryption tools. And it's so important that just yesterday, European Parliament again refused to condition, for example, communication of encrypted, when we use encrypted messengers to collect data on EU citizens. It's so, so important. You may say that, oh, of course, I will create my app and it will be the most encrypted. But what about scaling? What about getting investment? We all people, we need to have financial resources to scale, to teach, to use tools. They should not be criminalized. So this is something what I'm working on. And I truly believe that it's really important to gather as much as possible community who are ready to support developers, investors, and users of privacy technologies. This is how we will scale Bitcoin. We will scale education, how to use it safely, and we will have alternative to the system which may be shut down in every second.
Lyudmyla, you are the president of Open Dialogue Foundation. Can you share an example where Bitcoin helped your organization continue its mission, especially in situations where traditional systems were slow or limited?
Yes, to be very precise, when I said about 2018, my organization, myself, we were recognized as a threat to national security by 3 states. It was Kazakhstan, it was Poland during Law and Justice Party, and there was Moldova during oligarch Plahotniuc time. So they all weaponized financial regulations, interstate cooperation, to shut down my organization and to stop my human rights work. And this is the moment when my bank account was terminated in Belgium. And I was able, thanks to my family member, to my brother. My brother is a Bitcoiner. He was at the time Bitcoin miner. He said, "You're gonna learn in a moment what is it Bitcoin." And I was at the time, yes, of course, but I was too busy to understand. But once I was de-risked completely, when my bank account was terminated, this is. I called him. Okay, I said, I need to learn what is it Bitcoin now. And I was very privileged that I learned from him. And this is how I not only was able to survive, but again, hold accountable and prosecute those who were violating law, to announce me without any ground national security threats, to weaponize different systems against me, to destroy my business, family, organization. So this is something Bitcoin helped me to be rebuilt. I wouldn't be able to survive without it. It's just not exaggeration. It's just fact for many, many reasons. For this reason, I think not think, I am sure it's part of my life now, and it's something what I'm defending with all my passion.
Nice. For actually viewers who are completely new to Bitcoin, Lyudmyla, how would you explain in simple terms why self-custody, holding your own keys on a kind of self-storage tool, is important, and why actually it changes also the relationship between you as an individual and financial systems?
There are two aspects to know. First, if you keep your money on exchange, there is one thing to consider. It's the same like bank. It just has these same exactly features. So if bank is able to close your bank account within minutes, the same will have to do exchange. It just no other options or any kind of crypto asset services providers. Whenever the entity which you use as a tool to keep your coins have a license, this is the moment where you not control your coins. This is like not your keys, not your coins. There is a risk, of course, if you use a cold wallet or hot wallet on your mobile phone. There is always risk. Everything in life risk, but you manage this risk because you are responsible for Bitcoin you spend it. And if you ever touch Bitcoin with your hot wallet or cold wallet to exchange, it means that your privacy is compromised forever. Like for this wallet, it stays there forever, and this is the key how different criminal will be able to find out how many coins you used to have. They potentially can do assumption that you have too much money right now, and this is the reason why they can knock the door and kidnap you. This is a reality where we right now, and police unfortunately doesn't have understanding that they should actually protect more privacy, not allowing collection of this data. And it's not only police, but many other also, of course, institutions. But police playing here a crucial role in the way that it not always taking these kind of cases seriously. Now, after what's happening in France, I think it's more and more serious attitude, but still police quite often look at crypto assets holders as criminals because of this negative language in regulation. And again, I will not tire to repeat, it's really important to change it because every technology can be used for bad and good purposes. For bad actors, of course, they will also use it because it's workable. If something workable, of course, bad actors is going to use it. But it doesn't mean that we, as legitimate users, has to lose this right to use so beautiful tools as Bitcoin. So in wallets, cold or hot wallet on your phone, it's something that you control, and you have to be responsible for your key. And this is what I'm telling all the time my activists with whom I'm talking to, teaching them how to use it. But this is the key things which bring you to own responsibility. So Bitcoin is your responsibility. It's not you delegate somebody keys to your life. It's when you holder of your keys for your life.
Well, let us reflect a little bit. What does this mean, not just for activists, but for ordinary people and families across Europe?
Now there are different theories that there are different amounts of money announced in regulation, how much you would be allowed to keep on your account or to spend, for example, in some regulations for, I don't know for which extent it's going to be obligation or not. For the moment, it's just a kind of proposal that you cannot spend more than 3,000. Who and why should define how much money, if you earn them and you pay taxes and everything, you should spend, right? And we go into this direction, unfortunately. So we have to be very careful. If we want to preserve our freedoms, we should keep our keys. And in a moment when we live in such unstable environment, where every financial institution, because of ongoing crisis, can be bankrupt or just stop to exist for many reasons, even physically, like it's happening in Middle East, not only in Ukraine, you just need to have options. You just need to have options. We live in time where not having options, it's putting in danger your family, yourself. It's too dangerous. You have to keep options, and you have to keep your keys in your head.
So if we are shifting a little bit towards Europe, well, we have been talking about Europe a lot, but about freedom and future risks, Europe is often seen as stable and secure. Where do you think people may be underestimating future risks related to financial control or surveillance?
We are not secure. We are not stable at all if we speak about financial institutions. Our financial system is completely transparent for authoritarian regimes, which is majority in the world. There is just small group of allies, literally countries allies, and there is no more existing system of stability if what we used to call stability, right? And our financial institutions, they just obliged to provide data with the first request of authoritarian states. And if you produce semiconductors, if you are any kind of new technology specialist, or if you're family members of somebody like this, or if you work in a critical industry, I don't know, something with mining of metals, coal, anything, energy, for example, you potentially, or even like medical industry, space industry, like many other critical industry, municipality even, because it's also critical infrastructure for a specific community, which might represent interest for foreign governments. This is where a request can be sent, and there is obligation from the financial institutions which were delegated with police functions, because it was first police obligation to do this kind of investigation, and then to take decision to share your data or not, right? Then you had a prosecutor, you have judges who will decide on your case, and you will be informed as a victim that something happened with your data. The law is constructed in a way right now with financial institutions that you as a victim will never ever know that your data was shared until something happened, until somebody knock your door and say everything what they should not know, and they can only know if they get access to your financial data, your mobile phone, they get data for your travel, communication, or financial, again, records. So this is where you have to care right now, because you're still able, as it was shown just even yesterday with multiple calls, with multiple campaigns, we were able to stop this chat control regulation, and members of the European Parliament prevented its blind implementation. But there are still way more other regulations which has to be stopped, and we need to have as much as possible voices on our side to do so. So you just have no stability. This is where you need to understand this. And your bank is somebody who is obliged with the first request to share all your data. Bank secrecy doesn't exist anymore. The same how it doesn't exist anymore online, almost. And you see what's happening with VPN servers in European countries, where their servers basically or shut down or their computers taken for investigation with basically even no judicial decision. It's something very dangerous happening right now in Europe. We live completely in new reality, and it's really important to understand and to remember about it.
How do you actually see the independence becoming maybe more and more important in the coming years? So to put it into the sportive aspect, do you see it as a sprint or as a marathon? Where
everything
would
is a
we
marathon.
go?
Life doesn't exist as a sprint only when you need to defend your privacy. Like you need to be motivated to do it right now. But in principle, even to be prepared for sprint, you actually have to be prepared to marathon, because you have to maintain your condition, your physical condition every single day. And this is what I think a lot of people forget, because for sprint, you need to deliver immediately your energy, your speed, your physical ability to do it, right? But to do so, you have to train every single day, just like every single day. And you have to really keep your speed on a high level. So no matter if it's marathon, no matter if it's a sprint, you just have to keep and defend your privacy every day.
So how can Bitcoin contribute to strengthening individual sovereignty in a peaceful and constructive way?
First of all, it's education. It's education as much as possible. People, what is it, Bitcoin? Why it matters? Why privacy matters? Why privacy of communication matters? What does it mean, weaponization of behavioral data? It shouldn't be just something abstract. All of these examples, what I'm telling right now, I was privileged and smart enough to document it. Majority of people, they say about it in a very abstract way. They don't have evidences. The beauty of and nightmare at the same time what I experienced, that I was able to document it, and I was able to do it thanks to Bitcoin. So my example is show if you actually understand how to use privacy of payment communication, even if 9 states against you, you able not only survive, to hold accountable those perpetrators. And I think with this mindset, we actually have to raise more and more awareness. And this is telling example that you can overcome any kind of difficulties, even in this unstable world. We just need to make sure that this story is heard, that this kind of people support, and that privacy tools, developers, investors, and users also support it in the way that you speak to your regulator, you speak to your member of the parliament, because you are representing, you are a citizen of the EU, you have a voice. Speak to them in the same, it's example, what we've done with chat control. Every single person, I'm very grateful for everybody who was responding to our calls and my request to write a letter to members of the parliament and to convince them to stop this chat control. It means that we else can also change attitude to Bitcoin and any kind of privacy tool. We can change this negative attitude to neutral, and we can use it freely. It's in our option. It's our legitimate option. It should not be as a gray zone. It shouldn't be something optional with a shame. It has to be something what we love, what we share, and what actually you can be honored to have. And especially because of privacy function. Because if we don't defend privacy, using Bitcoin will be dangerous. If everybody who produce privacy options of using Bitcoin, you cannot survive transacting on blockchain with Bitcoin and being exposed. It's just like you going with a pocket outside and showing everybody how much you have, and that you basically ready to be target. We need to have privacy, and this is our right. There is nothing to be ashamed. It's something to be defended, and defended now in a understanding it's sprint, and you have to be prepared every day to execute the sprint.
Do you see actually Bitcoin as a technology primarily, or also as a shift for individuals who can relate now in a different way to power and responsibility?
I don't differentiate it, because every single technology brings with itself responsibility, power, and of course, that's why we have policy proposals from different sides. Policy is a combination of all of this. And the fact that Bitcoin is discussed in the political circles, it means that it's already existing as a strong tool. What we need to do, we need to have correct policy, correct rules, because what is it policy? It's rules how to use something. And it shouldn't be defined without us, legitimate users, how to frame it, how to scale it, and how to use it.
Yeah, coming to personal resilience. I mean, working in human rights can be very demanding, I guess, from the emotional point of view, but also from the mental point of view. So what keeps you motivated to continue this work?
I mean, it's my life in many ways, right? First of all. Second, it's my family story, because my grandma, she was in concentration camps in Russia and in Kazakhstan. She had to escape it. And my family survived actually because people in Kazakhstan were helping to my grandma to overcome this persecution and to escape twice. With this story, it was for me very interesting to first to understand how can I support these people in my gratitude. From other side, my family always were against Kuchma regime at the time in Ukraine, then Yanukovych regime. So I was participating as a teenager in many protests, organizing protests. My family was financing protests in Ukraine, supporting, for example, with food, delivery of people with the buses, organizing processes, security processes when Yanukovych regime just wanted to shoot people or organize different kind of discreditation actions. We were family, like many families in Ukraine, fighting for our rights and being responsible for our future. We wanted to live in our country, understanding that we invested in it, and we wanted to see it as we want to. So with this understanding, it shaped me. Foundation was just next step. When I understood that knowledge what I have during Orange Revolution, I can actually scale, because a lot of activists at that time were asking me, okay, how we can repeat this success story? Because at that time it was success story. Ukraine was able to overcome Yanukovych and Kuchma, and we have this opportunity for freedom. It was stolen by Russia, and that's why we have a war right now where Russia is trying to destroy Ukraine as a nation. But this is a story of continuous fight. And with this fight, with foundation, which I established, Open Dialogue Foundation, it's part of my story. It's part of my life. It's 16 years of my fight, where I started as being a donor for foundation and a PhD student, writing about basically family story, how and why Kazakh people could potentially help Ukrainian who was from resistance movement to survive concentration camp during Soviet time. Turn on that I was defending oil workers, journalists, political prisoners in Kazakhstan, victims of shooting and torture in Kazakhstan, and bringing their cases on international level, releasing hundreds of political prisoners, first in Central Asian countries, then in Russia, then in Ukraine during Yanukovych time, or in Moldova during Plahotniuc time. And then even speaking up about political prisoners and prosecutions in Poland during Law and Justice Party, which is, you would think, part of Europe, how you can even speak about political prisoners there. But yes, there were such people. And this is something what shaped me, shaped my story. And it's not like I was selecting being like this. I think it's just how it was going, and it's passion, it's responsibility, and it's understanding that if not you, who? And it's always just you want to be this positive example for yourself, because you can, because you know how to do it, and because of many people who admire you, they support you. And I am really grateful for everybody who was supporting me. Sometimes you get support from people you never expect to, and from those who you expect to get support, you never get it. It's also a very painful experience, but I think everybody is going through this, and it's shaping you. It's shaping you a lot, and it gives you afterwards even more power if you overcome it. The most important that you can overcome it, and it's everything in your brain. And to keep your brain in good shape, you need to exercise, you need to have healthy food. You need to do a lot of things what maintain your body, the only home you live in. And you need to know how to protect it. And your protection is privacy. And privacy is Bitcoin, it's communication, it's encryption. It's something without it you cannot live nowadays.
This amazing journey, has it changed how you personally define freedom?
With the time, yes, because at many times before, I was not thinking that online could be so dangerous to be present. During my life, I was always experiencing different security threats, going from Sevastopol, where was all the time in the evening you cannot go outside. So it's in my skin always to take care about security. I'm sometimes over securing stuff, but for many years it was a way of thinking that if you're doing something online, you kind of anonymous, you kind of private, but it doesn't exist anymore. And actually we go into the direction where privacy, it's such exclusive, right? It's such something what only privileged people can have, and it's so expensive. And this is definitely where we should not go, with a direction where everything is digitalized, because this is basically way to be in Chinatown, where every single move is classified with video camera, connected to your move digitally, with your financial rights, with your travel rights, with your free speech, with everything. So yes, privacy it's evaluated during my life, and this is something what right now I think it's one of the main human rights. Without it, we just cannot survive.
Yeah, you're talking very passionate about human rights. What gives you hope when you look at the future of Europe and financial freedom?
It's people. People who can listen, people who are ready to talk. This is two categories of people you have to have around you. Those who listen, it's chance you can convince them and you can build coalition to change things. Those who can talk, they will have open hearts, no matter how many doors closed, knock the door, open it, convince. If you have these two categories of people, you can overcome a lot of things.
So if we think practically the takeaways, for someone watching this who wants to take more responsibility for their financial future, what is one simple first step they can take?
Be active and join our coalition, join our Freedom Tech Embassy, be ambassador of privacy, speak up with everybody. We can teach you how exactly to speak with your representative parliamentarian, anybody you want to. We can help you to frame effective messages. So we have as much as possible ambassadors for Freedom Tech.
What is actually the biggest misconception people still have about Bitcoin today? Maybe you can elaborate on that, and also maybe coming to the final part of this interview, you maybe also can tell us and the viewers where to find you and to get in touch with you.
Very easy. If you're a Bitcoiner, you find me in Damus or Noster, Lyudmyla Kozlovska. You can find me on X or Twitter, whatever you prefer, the same Lyudmyla Kozlovska. You can find me on Instagram, and then you can email me. You can find me on website, OD Foundation EU. So I'm happy if you guys also share my links to website. I can give my potential emails. But I think social media, I read messages when somebody write me and I always reply.
And the first part of the question, what do you think is the biggest misconception regarding Bitcoin?
Misconception that it's totally private. Private, just like if you transact, nobody knows anything. This is like every time I meet with a regulator, they say, oh, everybody who is using Bitcoin, it's just totally anonymous. No, unfortunately, no. This is how Russian regime identify everybody who gives donations to Navalny Foundation, and they go after these people. This is what's happening even if you use peer-to-peer transactions and you have to exchange it in cafeteria. And Kazakhstan arrests both those who facilitate transactions and those who want to change it. And the same with Nicaragua. So it's doesn't work like this. You need to really understand how to use. That's why I'm saying it's not easy, but you have to have this option, because when you're in a situation when you don't have options, your bank will not help you.
In this episode, we have learned about European privacy and security story about Lyudmyla's point of view. Freedom isn't something most people think about until they lose it, as Lyudmyla also said earlier. And understanding money may be one of the most important parts of protecting that freedom.
I mean, guys, if you find this interview valuable, please share it. It's such an important topic to talk about freedom. And as Lyudmyla said, everybody can contribute. So if you find this valuable, please hit also the like button, share this episode, get in touch with Lyudmyla. We definitively will put the links to get in touch with her into the description of this episode. And we are very glad and happy, Lyudmyla, to having you here in this interview, that you shared such an important topic with us, highlighting how Bitcoin can contribute to support freedom at the end and to support the human rights and real democracy. So thank you very much. And yeah, maybe last words from your side.
Just thank you. I think we have to have more this kind of podcast, and we have to have more people who educate other people. So join us, guys. We need to expand this circle of people who defend privacy. It's really important, as never before. Be this sprinter, preparing every day to do your best job, best performance to defend privacy.